So I first want to say thank you guys for taking your time and being here tonight. We really appreciate it. Just to give you a little idea of what our agenda is, I have a welcome video I'm going to show you. We will do a coin toss. We'll give the participants a minute, and then we will hear a great debate. And our judges will then go into a separate room where they will figure out who they think is the winner, and we'll do a poll and show you a few clips, and then we'll announce the winner. So it's going to be a nice quick night. We appreciate you joining in. I'm going to go ahead and go into the breakout rooms and tell them they need to come on back. So they will be back here in just a minute. So we do know that you're busy, and we know that you have a lot going on right now with finals, with everything opening up, with all kinds of stuff. So we do want to say thank you. We appreciate you taking your time to join in with us tonight. We know it's different. We know it's a whole new thing with being on Zoom, and it's strange, but I think we're getting used to it. And I myself am looking forward to events that we have like this. So thank you for joining us tonight. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen in a minute and start a video that I created with the help of FTVM. And I want to give a shout out to Nick over there. Nick Van Leuven is the stuff. Let me tell you, he's going to be famous, and I can't wait. And he comes from our school, just like a lot of other great, successful people. So please watch the video, and we'll keep going from there. Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining us tonight. The Communication Studies Department hosts speech and debate tournaments every year. Tonight, we're pretty excited because this is our 10th anniversary for our debate tournament. Now, obviously things have changed because of the pandemic. We're on Zoom now. In fact, last year, before we completely transitioned, one of my students asked me, "Professor, are we going to debate on Zoom?" And I kid you not, I looked this young man dead in the eye, and I said, "Heck no, it's never going to work." I was wrong. Look at us. Here we are. We made it work. So just like everything else in the pandemic that we had to adjust and figure out, same thing with our tournaments. And that's exactly what we did. So we worked it out, and we figured out how to do a debate tournament online, and here we are. So let me explain how this thing's going to work. We had a number of teams meet last week and debate on Zoom. These were recorded and sent to a panel of our judges. The judges scored these debates, and the winners of those first two preliminary rounds are the ones who will be debating tonight. Now, the first two rounds, those were no joke. We debated face masks and if the president has the right to send federal agents to quell protests. Now, as you can see, we debate intense social issues, and tonight will be no different. So I am pleased to let you know that you will be hearing about 30 minutes of a debate that consists of constructive speeches, cross-exams, and rebuttals. Now, our top two teams who will be debating tonight, they don't know which side they are going to be. So in a minute, when we're done here and I tell you what the topic is, we're going to do a coin toss and give the students a minute to get situated, and then we're going to hear a great debate. So I'm sure you're still wondering, well, what are we going to hear tonight? So here's our topic. Resolved. In California, all drugs, including Schedule I drugs, should be decriminalized. I look forward to a great debate, and thank you for joining us on this great Thursday night. So that gives you an idea of what we've been working on. And the students have been working all semester on different topics. So as we said, the first one we did was face masks. And then we talked about the president having the right to send federal agents to quell protests. And tonight we're going to be talking about decriminalizing all drugs, including Schedule I drugs. So we are going to do a coin toss. And I see that our contestants are back. So we do have Morgan and Dakota, who will be arguing against Ruth and Serena. So Morgan and Dakota, you are heads. Ruth and Serena, you are tails. Whoever wins the coin toss, you get to pick which side you want to be. Tom, do you have a coin ready or do you want me to do it? You're on mute. Okay, so Tom's gonna flip it. Morgan, Dakota heads, Ruth, Serena tails. Flip it, Tom.
Here we go. It is heads.
All right, it's heads. So Morgan, Dakota, what do you want?
Affirmative.
Okay, so Morgan and Dakota will be affirmative, meaning Ruth and Serena will be negative. Who will be your first speaker, Morgan?
I'm fine. I'll go first.
Okay, so Morgan will be our first affirmative, making Dakota our second affirmative. Ruth and Serena, what's your order?
I will be going first as -1.
That's Ruth?
Yes, Ruth will be going first, unless
All right.
her computer continues to act like that.
Let's hope it doesn't. Okay, so we're gonna walk you through the order. Don't worry about it, audience. Just please make sure you are on mute. So we will begin with Morgan, who will be our first speaker. And then Morgan is going to be crossed by Serena. And then we will have Ruth as our first negative speaker. And Ruth will be crossed by Morgan. Don't worry, ladies and gentlemen, all this will make sense momentarily. So Morgan, I'm gonna put myself on mute. You know how this works. At 3 minutes, I will give you one knock. At 3:30, I will give you the signal. And at 4, I will stop you. So the floor is yours whenever you are ready, Morgan. Take it away.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the gallery, as well as the judge, for being here today to discuss the resolution for the state of California to decriminalize all drugs, including Schedule I drugs. This resolution comes as a brand new opportunity to not only destigmatize the disease and the affliction of addiction, but to also uplift people that need help, that do not need punishment, that do not need ridicule, that need assistance and medical intervention. The interesting thing about this resolution is that we do not need to look at it through a scope of imagination. It does not need to be an abstract concept. There has already been a country that has already gone through the process of decriminalizing all drugs, including Schedule I drugs. According to Time magazine, Portugal at one time had an estimated 1% of the population, including things like bankers, students, socialites, hooked on heroin. They had a horrible heroin problem for a very long time. According to The Guardian, in 2001, they took the radical step to decriminalize the possession and consumption of all illicit substances. Rather than being arrested, these people caught with a personal supply were given a warning, a fine, or told to appear before a local commission comprised of a doctor, a lawyer, and a social worker about treatment, harm reduction, and support services available to them. Instead of actually imprisoning these people, costing them fines, and further impacting their mental health, they were given help. They were given resources. The opioid crisis after that soon stabilized, and the ensuing years saw dramatic drops in problematic drug use. HIV and hepatitis infection rates, overdose, drug-related crime, and incarceration rates plummeted from an all-time high in 2000 of 104.2 cases per million to 4.2 cases per million in 2015. In 5 years, that is a dramatic reduction simply by the process of decriminalizing these drugs. Another thing to understand about the disease of addiction is that it is just that, a disease. According to the American Psychiatric Association, substance use disorder is a complex condition where there is uncontrolled use of a substance despite harmful consequences. Human nature is not inherently to harm oneself. It is inherently to uplift oneself and to move forward. So if you are physically doing this to your body and to your life, that is a psychological disorder. It is recognized by the medical society, by the legal society, and by the psychiatric society as an affliction, as a medical problem. You wouldn't incarcerate somebody for having diabetes or depression. That is the way that addiction deserves to be treated. Another important point to understand about this resolution is that decriminalization is not legalization. The distinction is that legalization is the process of removing all legal prohibitions against it, meaning you'd be able to buy it in stores or be able to buy it in a shop. Decriminalization means that the substances would remain illegal, but the legal system would not prosecute a person for the possession under a specified amount, meaning that, again, you will not be punished for having a problem. You will be given resources, such as they did in Portugal. Along with drug use that affects life and personal health, there is also a systemic problem. It usually leads to crime. It will lead to families being torn apart. To pass this resolution would destigmatize these people as drunks or druggies or drug addicts, and look at them more through the lens of compassion and look at them through the lens of
You're
humanity.
done. Good job. Well done, Morgan. Serena, you have a minute and a half to ask Morgan questions. After you cross-examine her, we will hear from Ruth for 4 minutes for our first negative constructive. So Serena, you get a minute and a half to question Morgan. The floor is yours.
Thank you, Morgan, for your insight. I would like to ask you, since you did disclose that drug abuse disorder, no matter what the drug user problem is, or the negative effect that it is, they still continue to use the drug. So in that, with that sense, would you think that a drug user, if offered help to get rehabilitated, that they would do it willingly, or would they refuse and need to be forced?
Statistically, it has been shown that given the opportunity to receive help, they have chosen help. Many people won't, and that's going to be, it is a case-by-case basis. But generally, people do want help. They do want to get better. They do want to go back to their lives as they were. If we continue to stigmatize drug users as criminals instead of offering them help, then they are going to be afraid to self-report.
So you said that normally they wouldn't, but some of them would. Do you have the statistics showing how much people would do it if offered the help to rehabilitate? How many people are being rehabilitated when offered help?
I do not have a specific number, but I do have a example in the macro of the country of Portugal when they, again, decriminalized the possession and use of drugs, the drug problem decreased immediately.
And
you're done. Good job. Please make sure you put yourselves on mute. Moving next on to Ruth. Ruth, you have 4 minutes to present the first side for the negative team, and then Morgan, you will be asking Ruth questions. So Ruth, 4 minutes, the floor is yours.
Sorry. I would like to thank everyone for coming today. I would like to get started on why I believe that we shouldn't legalize Scheduled 1 drugs or any type of drugs. This is a policymakers in the US have chosen to define this drug as abuse as a legal problem uh, rather than a public problem, and this actually creates mental problems as well because it makes people hallucinate, and it makes a variety of health problems open, like schizophrenia, and different kinds of health problems, like some people become blind from using the heroin or cocaine or anything, and sometimes it can create them to overdose and potentially die. BetterHealth.gov actually did an article on how drugs affect your body, and they can have a long-term or a short-term effect on the body physically and psychologically. These drugs affect your central nervous system, like the way we think, the way we feel, the way we behave. It can create many people to either act very erratic or either sexually aroused, and it makes a more criminalized path for other people. Like, for example, Skid Row is a 10 by 10 block that has been taken over by the homeless that are now drug addicts, and they are doing this on the open and in the public, that parents don't even want to take their children around there because you don't want your own child to ask, oh, what are they doing with these needles? And this is also really bad because it also creates home labs, and home labs can create can contain bacteria, dangerous chemicals that we're not too sure what they put in. LA Times has said that people have created some poisonous cocaine with using rat poison and like other house cleaning chemicals such as bleach and sometimes Ajax. So it has created like rashes on people, and it has even caused death for other people that weren't able to survive all that stuff. And also now there's a lot of
You're done,
drugs that are laced
You are
with
out of time.
different
So
types
thank you
of
very much.
other drugs. So you can have a Xanax
Pretty
that's
sure
laced
Ruth is
with
on a lag there. There we go, Ruth. Okay,
LSD, and that can create even more of a harmful
Ruth, we need you
scenario
to,
for you. It can
reset.
create you to
gonna need you to
hallucinate
reset, Ruth.
something that's not there, and potentially you can even kill yourself for how you're
Log off and log back on.
hallucinating.
Log off and log back on, Ruth. Thank you. I would like to welcome all of you to some of the things we deal with online classes. I just want to keep it real with you. It is a nightmare sometimes with internet and connection. So we do our best to be accommodating, and we've learned a few tricks. We do have time limits, so we do have to cut people off. And when there is an internet lag, we learned that it just keeps going. So we have to tell them, stop, log off, log back on. So Ernie, she will be coming back on any second. Okay. So as soon as she is back on, Morgan will be crossing Ruth for a minute and a half. Is she back on? Okay. So Morgan will ask questions for a minute and a half. And once we have that cross exam, we will hear from Dakota. Dakota will be our second speaker for our affirmative team. So
Okay, I'm so sorry about that. I'm back.
that's okay, Ruth. Don't worry about it. Morgan, it is your cross, minute and a half. Go ahead and take it away.
All right, so at the beginning of your speech, you did say that we intended to legalize drugs. Do you understand the distinction between legalization and decriminalization? Because that is actually what this is about. We're not saying that you should be able to go to CVS and pick up a crack pipe. We are saying that it should be destigmatized and people deserve help rather than ridicule.
I'm so sorry. I didn't believe I did say legalize. I said illegalize it. Sorry. But no, I don't believe that this is something that is like just a, one-time pick-me-up kind of thing, because it creates you to become hooked, because right away it actually sends brain signals to your obviously to your body, saying that it is distressed and that it needs a little bit more, even though it is your casual first time or your casual weekend ones. Either way, this actually starts creating signals to your brain saying that I am craving this, I am needing this. So it does make it a problem.
So then do you believe that by sending people who are found with drugs or are addicted to drugs, that they receive adequate help with their drug addiction? Because according to the Department of Justice, 80% of people who go into jail for drug offenses do come back. So very clearly jail is not the answer to their drug problem.
Time. Good job. Nice work. All right, next up we have Dakota. Dakota is our second speaker for the affirmative team. When Dakota is done presenting, she will be crossed by Ruth. So Ruth, you will be giving the next cross exam. So Dakota, 4 minutes, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you to the ladies and gentlemen of the gallery and judge for being here today. Today we are debating the resolution: in California, all drugs, including Schedule I drugs, should be decriminalized. Decriminalization is the lessening or termination of criminal penalties in relation to certain acts, though perhaps regulating permits or fines might still apply. It is not legalization, though decriminalization reflects changing social and moral views. The drugs we are referring to include Schedule I through 5 and legend drugs that are mostly only available through prescription, except for Schedule I, which includes marijuana, MDMA, heroin, and many more that can be a felony charge in the state of California. Schedule II through 5 and legend drugs, like medication used for diseases and infection, are legal with a prescription. A roadmap for today is exploring how cases of substance abuse and addiction should be handled by counselors, psychologists, and social workers instead of the police and prison wardens. An increased uptake into treatment and recovery services will be more beneficial to society and community, and how other countries have already used this as a last resort and succeeded, therefore paving the way on how California can go about this. Out of 39.51 million people, there are currently 115,000 California prisoners. This new bill will increase uptake into treatment and recovery services instead. Right now, the drug overdose rate in California is 15 per 100,000 people. That is over 6,100 deaths from overdose in this state alone. Compare this to the 3,723 people that died in car accidents. More people die of overdose in California annually than car accidents. Federally ran rehabilitation centers are a cheaper alternative to prison. The average felony drug charge is 5 years in California. This new bill would cost a fifth of how we handle drug crimes right now, saving taxpayer money. We also have a stronger workforce due to the decriminalization. Felons would have more options in the job force. Not many workforces are felon friendly. And this is an opportunity to get people into jobs and to create a better economy for California. Our tax dollars go to prisons, and subsequently, we are now paying for more people in our prisons that need to be. Norway was the first Scandinavian country to decriminalize drugs. Their pharmacist and apothecary politician and MP of Norway says that if you use illegal drugs, you get a quick response from the society and met with skilled people from the healthcare system, and you get healthcare. Norway now has one of the lowest drug use on overdose rates in the world. Another comparison is Portugal, as my partner referenced. Nina Bajikal, in her Time article about Portugal's decriminalization of drugs, states it started in 1974, which was the end of power of the authoritarian regime of Antonio Salazar. When Portugal opened up after almost 50 years of isolation and ignorance, drug use skyrocketed and something had to change. In 2001, the Decriminalization Act was changed, and the possession of use in drugs was handled more as a public health problem, not a criminal activity. Their cases of substance abuse and addiction are handled by counselors, psychologists, and social workers, instead of police and prison wardens, and now have the lowest overdose rate and abuse rate in Western Europe. These countries were on their options last resort. Do we want to wait until it becomes that bad in California? Please choose for decriminalization of drugs in California for a brighter future. Thank you.
Nice job, Dakota. Thank you very much. Ruth, it is your cross exam. You get 1.5 minutes to ask Dakota questions. When you are done with your cross, we will hear from Serena, who will be the second speaker for the negative team. So Ruth, the floor is yours.
Okay, so you mentioned Portugal, and unfortunately that's around the world. So for here, do you have enough people here in California that would make this a actually like a proposition? Because we need propositions first to vote on before we can actually make it onto a law. So do you have people that can vote for it as a proposition first?
That's going to come down to signing petitions. That's going to come down to getting it on the ballot. Yes, that is the first step, but that is what we need to do. And to get this on a bill, we first have to propose it, and that is what we are doing now.
Okay, so to the many families that have lost people off of drugs and to the many people that are currently fighting it, do you think those family members are going to be behind you guys saying, yes, let's legalize this, yes, let's give my son, daughter some more drugs?
Well, we're not giving them drugs, we're sending them to rehab, which is the about opposite. Instead of being seen in prison, yes, I believe family members would rather see their loved ones getting help in rehabs and not behind bars, facing lifetime long penalties like not being able to vote, not being able to get a job that's not felon friendly. It's going to harm them more sending them to prison than to rehab to fix their addiction.
Time. Nice cross, ladies. Next up, we have Serena. Serena is our second speaker for our negative team. When Serena is done presenting her constructive, Dakota, you will be giving the cross. So Serena, the floor is yours, 4 minutes.
Hi, I'd like to thank the jury and judge for sharing your time and empathy with today's topic. We're debating why California should not decriminalize drugs, especially Scheduled I drugs, and not creating an open market for drugs. Also creating a safer tomorrow. We in the negative side strongly oppose this resolution. First, we would like to refute the affirmative side by explaining the detriment caused to society and in the society, all these families that are affected and friends from drug users and drug addiction, that will set forth the implementation of having to keep drugs criminalized in order for them to have motivation for these drug dealers and these drug users to stop doing the drugs. Because I'm not sure if you're aware of drug users, but normally when you offer them help for therapy, they refuse. So on pros and cons of discrimination, drug addicts, April 23, 2018, they have disclosed that decriminalizing drug use will lead to rapid addiction, more worse than epic before. So also, when you take into consideration a policy that is put in place by the same government that takes away children from parents doing drugs and putting them in unsafe environments from the use of drugs and causing crime to enable their addiction, are we going to continue to enable these people by just pacifying it and sending them to rehabs? You're saying rehabs are going to get them off drugs, but is it not true that rehabs wean people off of drugs by giving them other man-made drugs? How do you think that's going to affect them long-term? They're going to be dependent on this man-made drug, this pharmaceutical market that we have created to continue to keep people in a state of psychosis and not be able to fight these mind-altering substances. We had 16 decriminalization of drugs, pros and cons, January 30, 2018 by Lewis Gale, who also states that allowing people to have access whenever drugs they want and wish and create an open atmosphere of drugs and experimental use, this will cause a place where people that would normally not use drugs to use drugs, which is something that we wouldn't want to encourage, especially for our vulnerable population, like our teenagers and our middle schoolers. People are starting, like you said, to do heroin at earlier age. And you know what these rehabilitations are giving them? Fentanyl, where they're dying for using too much of these man-made drugs that these pharmaceutical companies are getting money off of, and these people that are supposed to be swearing by the oath of medical research to do the best by their patients to continue to use drugs. Nichols from How to Win a War on Drugs stated, yes, that there was 64,000 people that died for overdose, but do you think enabling them to continue to use drugs with just giving them a smack on the hand is going to make them want a change and stop this overdosing epidemic? I doubt that that would. If you worked hand in hand with people that are addicted, you would know that they need tough love. And the only way to get them to get detox is to take away the drugs and not give them other drugs to pacify their cravings. There are so many people in this world that are working towards the bettering of humankind. And I think that the human nature and the best of human survival is not to enable them to use drugs or get them in rehabilitations that are going to get them off those drugs to give them more drugs. Thank you. Also,
You're out of time. Thank you, Serena.
appreciate you for your time.
All right, Dakota, it is your cross. You get a minute and a half to ask Serena questions. When we are done with that cross exam, we will go straight into rebuttals. And I'll go over that order once we get there. So Dakota, a minute and a half. The floor is yours.
Thank you. Serena, do you know the medical use for fentanyl and how many teens are getting it from pharmaceutical companies?
I never disclosed that teens were getting drugs from pharmaceutical companies, but that is a good point. There are many drugs that are being given to children for treatment of different mental health issues that can be treated in other therapeutical ways, or other ways of having them recognize what they're dealing with is anxiety, and it's okay. And maybe meditation or being one with themselves and their religion can help them overcome these instead of putting them on drugs. Also, you said that, what was your first part of your question? I'm sorry, may you repeat that?
Yes. Do you know the medical use for fentanyl?
Yes, to help people get off of opium, and heroin is a type of opium. And also, it's been widely known, documentaries and research done, that when people were given this as an alternative, it was too much for their body to handle. And a lot of people lost their lives during this fentanyl epidemic that was causing young people, old people, all people from any kind of social economic background to be hooked on a drug that they would never have been introduced to if they never seeked help in a therapeutic setting. So this is not just the first case. There's numerous other cases of people that, get hooked on different drugs through trying.
And you are out of time. Good job, ladies. Okay, so we are now going to move into our rebuttal section. Each speaker gets 2 minutes. They will reply to what the other team has said and give their final statement. So the order will be Ruth, then Morgan, then Serena, and we will end with Dakota. So Ruth, your last 2 minutes, and the floor is yours.
Okay, so advocates of drug discrimination will argue that treatment is better than prison and that sending them to rehabilitation is actually a better choice option. But in that being said, alone we spend about $10 in law enforcement to do so and $35 billion to alone fight a comeback with the drugs. So in order for us to actually send them to a real rehabilitation center, we'd actually have to find the money to do so. But majority of those people who have now become drug addicts do live on the streets, and majority of their families have now either given up hope or have either said, you know what, we've done rehabilitation before, it hasn't worked. There is also a 12-step program that majority of them will not follow through because other people have said that they can't get off of it because they're hooked on it for life. There has also been other people that have been doing it since they have been either preteens all the way to their adolescence years. And then this also advocates will also claim that decriminalizations. Sorry, I was reading the wrong thing. Everybody actually needs to be accountable for their own actions. Drug addiction is not an excuse for majority of the choices that they have made. And even though they say, oh, this is just a little something to get me by for the weekend, or it's a pick me up kind of drug, it does create multiple side effects to the body, and it also creates a domino effect on the family, because if you are a parent to your child sees you through these stages.
Ruth,
and it's
you are out of time. Well done. Next we have Morgan. 2 minutes, Morgan.
Thank you. The opposition to the resolution treats this resolution as if we are not saying that drugs are bad or that drugs are harmful, that drugs destroy lives and tear people apart. What we are saying is that we should combat this crisis with compassion rather than punishment. The opioid crisis that this country faces is a disaster. It was begun in the 90s when healthcare providers began providing OxyContin for any sort of chronic pain. According to the Centers for Disease Control, by 2015, enough pills were being prescribed to medicate every American around the clock, every single American. That means that individuals were getting hundreds, sometimes hundreds of pills at a time that had nothing to do with pain. This is a country that allowed this to go on and did not punish the healthcare providers that provided it at all. We owe it to our citizens to not punish them for a problem that this country created. In a 2014 study, Peter Reuter at the University of Maryland, as well as Harold Pollack at the University of Chicago, two addiction specialists, found no evidence that tougher punishment would do a better job of pushing down drug use. The fact is, whatever you think of drug users, whatever harm you believe that they do to themselves and to society, as you very well may be entitled to think, punishment does not work. It is not what these people need. It is not what this country needs. It is not, is neither the moral, the ethical, or the logical thing to do. The moral, ethical, and logical course of action would be to offer help to these people. I believe that it is a cynical, and I believe that it is a dark view of humanity to believe that people do not want to get better, that people, if offered a helping hand, will not take that hand and stand up. Is everyone going to take it?
Time. Good job, Morgan. Next, we have Serena. 2 minutes, Serena, and the floor is yours.
Thank you for your insight. Obviously, you're not familiar with drug users, so you do not understand the fact that even though you ask them to get help, that they're not going to be likely to get the help. So like you said before, there was plenty of medical professionals giving people all kinds of drugs for all kinds of reasons that didn't even pertain to pain related, even though they were giving them pain meds. So why would you put those same people in the same hands of those people that abuse their power and instead was in cahoots with the pharmaceutical company and creating a monopoly off of the people and their addicts and their addictions? So that, I'm sorry, doesn't make any sense to me why I would try to remove a vulnerable population and put them back in the hands of those same pharmaceuticals and those same doctors that prescribe them the medication that had nothing to do with what they were dealing with, instead of trying to help them in a better way. So with that being said, there's been research done that has stated from Decriminalization of Drugs and Pros and Cons, January 30, 2018 by Miss Gelly, that when people are given more supplies of drugs, it lowers the prices. So also those population of people that want to numb themselves from their problems are going to be now able to afford and able to do those drugs. Also, you're creating less penalties, so it's going to make someone think twice. Maybe I should, maybe I shouldn't escape from whatever reality there is in this world that's causing them pain. Obviously, the cost of treatment is going to go up because they're going to need more establishments. They're going to need more certified therapists to treat these people with these illnesses. And the government has been given money for mental health treatment for years, and yet they have yet to do.
Thank you, Serena. Good job. Okay, Dakota, you are our last speaker for this debate. You are our last speaker for debates for spring of 2021. Thank goodness. So last 2 minutes. Take it away, Dakota.
Thank you. So the drugs that the opponent has referred to as used, the fentanyl, to be used to get off of opioids, is actually a synthetic opioid itself, used for chronic pain, for pain patients and for cancer patients. More people need to be educated on the use of controlled substance medication. And to be clear, we are debating for the decriminalization, not the legalization. There will still be consequences, but those consequences will not be expensive jail time. There will be health care. So do we want to wait for our last resort to be a total reform of decriminalization in California? Because I don't want to end up like Portugal. Did you know that it takes $31,000 for an inmate for 5 years? That's what California pays for the inmates to be in there for the average felon criminal offense, whereas it only takes $5,000 to send someone to rehab for 3 months, recommended time. I think we as a society is strong enough to handle the reform and sending people to rehab instead of prison, because we're already paying too much. We're over capacity on prisoners, almost 50%. California prisoners, the prisons themselves are over capacity by 137%. That's half of them are over 130. And we need to do something to change that. And we need to help our loved ones who just want to get a grip on life and return back to normal and beat the addiction, not be punished for it. So please vote for the affirmative, to decriminalize drugs, including Schedule 1 in California, so we can help those that need help with their drug addiction, not send them to jail to be punished for it for the rest of their life. Thank you.
Okay, ladies and gentlemen, please show them your love, give them some claps with your reactions, some signals. We're so proud. It's a lot tougher than you realize sometimes. So we're very, very, very proud of our students. Please remember, this began with a coin toss. So they did not know which side they were going to argue. And, you know, they did a great job. So we appreciate you. Jay and Letitia, I'm going to send you to your breakout room so that way you guys can go judge. I also see that our president has joined us. So President Rodriguez, thank you so much. I'm going to give you a chance here to talk to everyone, and we're excited. So
thank you. First off, wow, amazing. All of you that were speaking. First, my apologies, I got here a little bit late. Not many know it, but I left another meeting a little early to be here. So shh, don't tell nobody. But you all did a fantastic job. I would put you on my debate team anytime. So kudos to all of you. And thank you to all of the faculty, the managers, and our classified professionals that helped put this together and encouraged your work. You should know, if you don't, you have an incredible, incredible village behind you that is so dedicated to your success. So thank you all for your participation and also for inviting me to this event. Fantastic. Thank you.
well, we appreciate you and we love the support. We can't tell you how much it means to us. The department works very hard to put these events on and to see the support that we received from all levels. I don't know if you guys understand this, but this is a big deal that our president is in here with us. So I very much appreciate it, President Rodriguez. And on that note, I would also like to make another announcement about Ernest. So Ernest Guillen has been my co-helper. I'll just turn my thing here. I have a crew over here of Ernest and Professor Jones and my daughter, but Ernest is amazing. And I want everyone who is in here to know that he recently just received an award that he was nominated for by the union, and he won for outstanding classified employee from Bakersfield down, from K through 12 and college. It's gonna make me cry. It makes me so excited. So please understand, you guys, that we may be just little old San Bernardino over here, but we've got people doing big things and we've got great people on our team. So please keep these things in mind. And if you have any other shout outs that you guys want to give, that's what right now is all about. We appreciate you being here. We know you miss school activities. I also want to give a shout out to Ray. I saw you in here, Ray. Ray Carlos is our student activities director. I believe that's your title, Ray. Please correct me if I'm wrong, but he's amazing. And he helped with this event, and Marie helped with everything, and down to, you know, this afternoon we were doing everything. So all of these events are able to go on because of a united effort. And we just are very, very happy to have all of the support. So I wanted to show you guys a couple of clips. I'm going to be honest, we had lined up a speaker, the girl who won our fall tournament for our public speaking tournament, which I'll give my department a little minute here. Every fall we have a public speaking tournament, and every spring we have our debate tournament. So in the fall, we had a young lady win, and she gave a cool speech about Knott's Berry Farm. And so we asked her to return tonight to give this speech, because we thought, well, how cool would that be? We could have like entertainment while the judges are back judging and arguing over who they think the winner is. But she was unable to actually make it. So I did put some stuff on YouTube so I could show you a couple clips of the preliminary rounds, because remember, we We had 14 people volunteer for this event, and then we ended up having 12 actually debating, and we recorded everything and sent it to our judges. So I want to show you a few minutes of those, and then I also want you guys to take the poll and tell me who you think won. So let's do the poll first. So please do not, I'm going to launch the poll. Do not vote for just what you think, vote for who you think had the better argument. Okay, so put personal feelings aside, and who do you think had the best research and the better argument? So while you guys are voting, I'm going to continue to give my department some plugs here. Please be aware that if you like what you saw in here tonight, that this satisfies your critical thinking requirement. So some people take our classes, meaning our debate class, because they just don't like English or they don't like philosophy. And that's great. We want all of you. Okay, we want all of you in our classes. So if comm isn't your discipline, if you're like communication studies, what is that? Do they teach you how to talk? Like that's a real thing people say. Think of this class, because debate is fun. It is a different way to satisfy your critical thinking requirement. And if you enjoy arguing, what we do is we basically try to teach you how to structure your ideas, support it with research. And I think we do a pretty good job, because the fun part about this, like I said, is you don't know which side you're going to argue until that actual, minute. So if everyone will vote, I would appreciate it. I have 55 of you have now voted. I'm just going to leave that over there while we. Got it. Right here? Oh, what? Okay. But that's not the one I wanted. Sorry, guys. Give me 1 second. So here is just a little clip of one of our earlier rounds.
I'll start the timer when you start speaking. And after Morgan, you're going to be crossed by Angel.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen of the gallery. Last year was a rough year for everybody. Not made easier by the riots, the looting, the fires, the non-compliance in the streets. What has started out as a fight for racial equality, a protest against police brutality, did in fact turn into a riotous mob that caused millions of dollars in property damages and led to deaths and injuries. Alone, last year in just the city of Minneapolis, last year's riots were considered the second most destructive period of local unrest in U.S. history since the Los Angeles riots in 1992. They resulted in 2 deaths, 604 arrests, $500 million in property damages, many of them Black-owned businesses, many of them property that belonged to individual people. A local distillery owner named Chris Montana, also a Black store owner, recounted his inventory stolen, his property looted, people coming in and stealing liquor off the shelves and running around down the street with no regard for anything that these protests meant. This kind of destructive noncompliance is exactly why the president would need the authority to be able to send in federal troops. That is what they are for. That is what they exist to do. They exist to keep law and order when local law and order needs help. The Insurrection Act of 1807 is, of course, not anything that's new. The president has had 23 exact incidences of invoking the Insurrection Act of 1807, beginning in 1808 when Thomas Jefferson used it to combat.
I'm gonna do another one now. You guys have seen a lot of Morgan today. Here's Jocelyn.
In our own country. And that's all.
Thank you. Now you will be cross-examined by the second negative constructive, that is Angel. Angel, you have 1.5 minutes to cross-examine. You may begin when you're ready.
Okay. Would you happen to know what mask is qualified and actually prevents the spread and offers protection of airborne viruses?
I believe it's called the N95 mask. That's the one that will protect you. Like I believe it's 98% and up, I believe. But all masks have, you know, a certain degree of barrier that will keep the droplets from being spread out. So, you know, even a cloth mask is better than not wearing any mask at all.
Thank you. What public spaces are you referring as to where people will be cited for not wearing a mask?
Any place that will have you in a close, you know, quarters with somebody else. So like the store, you know, any enclosed area. So like, you know, restaurants. Well, I understand restaurants, you can't really wear a mask because you're eating and whatnot. So that's kind of the hard part about that. But as long as you're social distancing, that's fine. But
It's still going. I'm trying to stop it.
Okay, so let's close this. Just click stop sharing, it'll go back.
I did. I think I'm not
Oh,
sharing.
because it's still playing.
Okay.
So click escape. Okay, we're choosing media. There it is, right there.
Okay.
They say
Okay.
they have results.
Sorry, I had a little chaos there. That's why I have my guy helping me. Okay, so our judges do have their results. And another thing that we do in our class, we like to get a little rowdy and we announce it. But we announce which team wins, but we also decide on who the outstanding speaker is of the round. So we know sometimes, you know, we may not have the best argument, but we do have like the best presentation skills. So, sorry, we've got some extra noise over here. But so we will announce the first place and the second place, and then we will also announce the, we call it a Golden Gavel Award, and you will get a gavel. And that is for the outstanding speaker for out of all 3 rounds. So, well, basically out of the first 2. So those of you that are in this room that participated in the first 2 rounds that didn't make it to the final round, you are still eligible for the Golden Gavel. So we are trying to get our judges, you know what, I'm just gonna close down the breakout rooms. That'll bring them back. I closed them. I'm booting them out. I thought they were done. Are they not done?
They were done and they were like trying to
Oh, I thought they were done. So they're done now. They're coming back. So I hope that you guys did enjoy this. Is this new for anybody? Feel like chiming in and talking with me? Have any of you experienced anything like this before? I mean, I saw Jaime shake his head and I'm like, Jaime, you're in our class. You experience this every Tuesday, Thursday.
I've never experienced it before this class.
Well, and you guys did such a great job adjusting. So I have someone say back in high school, you had mock trial. Was that live or were you on Zoom? Was that just last year? years ago. Yeah, me too. I remember that vaguely. But we are pleased with the adjustments we were able to make, but I am going to throw a new plug out there. Look at me. I'm like an advertising person right now. So y'all know things are changing and we're going back in the fall. I want to explain how Communication Studies Department is going to run our classes. So when you look at the schedule, because I know so many of you are going to go sign up for debate now, it may be a little weird, ours look a little weird, but basically we're going to be doing all hybrids. So we will be doing all lessons, all quizzes, everything online except for presentations. So what we did when we were completely on Zoom was we still did everything online, but we would meet at specific times to do debates, because as you see, they take 4 people. So now we will be going on campus. So we're so excited to be able to do them in person. So we will have all of our speech classes are set up that way. So just make sure you're paying attention when you are registering, because it will be hybrid. So you will be doing stuff online, but you will also be showing up to campus on specific selected dates that are listed in the schedule. So make sure when you are registering, you know, if you work Tuesdays and Thursdays, don't sign up for the Tuesday, Thursday class, obviously. But they all vary. Some of them will meet like 6 times, some of them will meet 12 times. It just depends on the course. But for all of our public speaking, all of our debate, all of our small group classes, they will be run that way. Our interpersonal, intercultural, mass media, and gender courses will remain just online. So just to give you an idea, if you were looking at the schedule, well, you're not going to look at it for a little bit, but it does go live on the 10th. So when you do start having access to it, keep those things in mind. And if you have any questions, my name is Susan Matson, and I'm really easy to find. Just shoot me an email and I can help explain things if you have any questions about it. So Jay and Letitia, are you guys back?
Yeah, let me speak first, Letitia, because I'm the little person, you're the dean.
Oh, okay, because I also want to give Letitia time to talk because she is our dean, so.
Yeah, I plan on that.
Okay, cool.
Before we announce, and Letitia's going to announce, we have the winner and who we believe was best speaker. What I was talking to her about was, I'm blown away by this. Given the circumstances we had, I just thought this is just fantastic what happened here, because I've got a lot of past experience with the debate team and everything else. And for you to pull this off during this type of thing that we're going through right now, it's just, I mean, my hat's off to you. Not that I wear a hat ever, but it's off to you. This was really good. And you guys just were really dynamite on this. And as far as understanding what you need, I suppose Tom, Papa, you all had a lot to do with this too, that as far as knowing what you need to do to do all this, you guys just have it all down great. All of you did a really good job. Tisha, you're on.
Well, I just want to welcome everyone again. And for those of you who don't know, while I'm the Dean of Arts and Humanities today, I was part of the Communication Studies Department on campus for the past 20 years. And I love this department and I love this event. And so I think it's amazing what our chair of the Communication Studies Department has done, Susie Matson, with carrying on with this very special event virtually, and to see so many here supporting our students who are currently enrolled in our argumentation and debate class. So thank you all who have appeared and taken time this evening to support our students, and to all of you who have helped support, promote the event, judge the preliminary rounds, and the students for taking that extra time outside of your crazy schedules right now as the finals start to approach. So again, great job. And you know, we appreciate all of you, and I'm just excited to be here.
Well, we're excited too. So thank you very much. So do you want us to bang on our desks for a drum roll and then you announce it? What do you want us to do, Letitia? You tell us.
Well,
if that's your normal thing, then yes, let's do that.
All right, then Jay, you announce it with me.
Okay,
gotta
so we're
try
gonna
and
give a
remember.
drum roll. So unmute yourself and bang on your desk or table or whatever you got. So drum roll.
Jay. Affirmative.
The affirmative.
Can you hear you say it again?
The affirmative
The
team.
affirmative
All
team.
right, the affirmative. Woo! So just so you know, that was also the poll result of the audience also voted affirmative. It was a good run. You guys gave them a good run for their money. Negative team, well done. But so the judges agreed and with the audience. So did you want to announce who you felt was the outstanding speaker?
Yeah. Letitia,
Go ahead, Jay. No, go ahead, Jay.
No. All right. We give it to Morgan.
Morgan,
Morgan. Give it to
good job. Yep, Morgan, you won the first
Thank
two
you,
rounds
guys.
too, so you were getting outstanding speaker. So well done.
Thank you.
I would also like everyone in this Zoom room to know that all four of these individuals, all four of these women, they never debated together in class. They had other partners. So they just showed up and I put them together. Literally tonight, Ruth and Serena was the first time they ever debated tonight together. So
Wow, they were both really great.
it was a little struggle, and we had the students will tell you last week was a little rough. I learned a lot about Zoom. I didn't know I couldn't record a million things at once. So it was rough, but we made it happen, and we're very pleased that it came together. And all of the participants did so well, and I'm just so pleased. And I can't thank you guys enough. So thank you for everyone who volunteered, everyone who like judged and helped promote and participated. We cannot do these events without you. And you were here, you committed, and we can't thank you enough. So remember everything we said about the classes for the Communication Studies Department. Register, they're going to be hybrid, you know, get involved. We'll be doing a tournament just like this in the fall for public speaking. So you guys were amazing and we can't thank you enough. So go enjoy your Mother's Day weekend if you are a mother. And if you're not a mother, somebody's your mama because you're alive. So you better say Happy Mother's Day to somebody. So go have a great weekend and thank you so much, everyone. I appreciate you. Oh, and we're gonna do a drive-through trophy giveaway. So I'll be getting a hold of you guys.
Yes, thank you everybody for coming. We really appreciate it.
Thank you.
Tom, do you want to say more?
Thank
I
you,
didn't
guys.
give you a chance to say anything. I'm sorry.
No, I'm just really appreciate that everybody came and that we had a great debate. You guys, again, we wouldn't be able to do it without you. Thank you for being a part and participating.
Thanks, guys. Have a great one.
We appreciate you for giving us the opportunity. Thank you too.
Well, you're welcome. Appreciate you.
Good job, Suze.
Thank you, Jay. Thank you. I'm sorry it was hectic getting on, but I appreciate you.
Great
Great
event,
job.
everyone. Have a good night.
Thank you. Thanks, President Rodriguez, for supporting.
Absolutely.
Thank you, President.
Absolutely.
Good job, Susie.
Oh, I'm so happy. That went well. Okay. You know, I always stress out. I'm like, oh.
No, really?
Yeah, I
Hadn't
know.
noticed.
That's what I'm famous for. But it went well. So thank you guys. I appreciate it. I was nervous with some of the internet connections. I was like, oh, please. Oh, please. But just to let you guys know, that's what we literally deal with. I mean, you know, we're all dealing with it too.
No, they all did a great job, and Jay just couldn't stop about how you were able to pull all this off, and the students did amazing, and you know, just dealing with current circumstances. So that's great.
Well, thank you. I appreciate you guys.
All right. Well, you guys have a
I'm
good
out of
evening.
here. So thank you.
Thank you.
I appreciate you, and you guys were great. Hi, Renee. Thank you so much for being here.
Yes, thank you, Renee.
I'll see you guys. You'll be hearing from me. Thanks.
My students will
Bye.
see you next week. Have a good Mother's Day.
Bye.
Bye.
Happy Mother's Day, everybody.
Thank you.